have little bitty ears.
You got the tiny little ears made small.
How old was Estelle Getty during the Golden Girls?
I can already tell I'm gonna have to pee. There's just no way.
I'm gonna go right now. She was 62 when the Golden Girls began. Despite playing the oldest character, the character Sophia Getty was actually 17 years younger than her role and a year younger than. So B. Arthur was 63 at the time.
But they were playing women in their 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy. So
I knew Jen was going to send this to me. As soon as I said I hadn't had a chance to read, I wish I would have said this live. As soon as I said I hadn't had a chance to read what John Grisham wrote, I thought, well, hell's just going to email me that. And you did it so fast, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Did she email it to me?
Well, you've seen it already, you see.
Yeah, no, but I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing yet.
Here it is.
I don't have that email address.
That's such a great picture.
Great
picture. Okay, I'm excited to read that. Thank you, Jen. If you're still, oh no, wait, you went to go eat dinner, but maybe you're back by now.
What's up, Zwarte? How do you say that? Zwart McZwart or Zwarte McZwart? Whoever you are, I like the name. Warrior Princess is in. Caitlin H is here.
I hope I don't cough a bunch.
Hines is here. We would.
I don't think he's here.
Oh, he would. Oh, he would. Oh, she said if he was here, that I'll get him here because he would know all of this, right? Because they got their Golden Girls podcast. Hey,
you know how I learned about the Golden Girls? The tattoo studio.
Just watching it while you're tattooing?
Nope, just tattooing people. People talk.
People talk, and they talk Golden Girls.
You remember what things to talk about.
Because I know Janet's going to have to go to the bathroom at some point, so I'm going to quickly go first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been watching Cheers like pretty religiously. I think I've said that before, that we've been watching Cheers. It's still so good. Like, it's still so good.
I haven't watched it since I was way younger, but I how I remember it feels like that should be true. So it's nice.
Yeah, it's still so good. Like, there's a few things that don't hold up, but for the most part, like, it holds up really well. And it's just like, Coach is absolutely hilarious. Like, it's phenomenal. Even Michelle we were talking about last night. She said something about, she was referring to like one of the newer sitcoms, any of the newer sitcoms. And she's like, I can see where these sitcoms come from. Like, they all, I don't want to say they all come from Cheers, but they, like, you can see the character development through Cheers.
Yeah.
Like, it was very cool.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just replying to this one agent.
You're fine.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. When's Sketchfest? That's coming up, right?
That's not, it's in January, right? But January. but it's eating my life as it does this time of year.
It happens. It's good for you. Builds character. Something like that. Like, you don't have enough character already. No.
That's right. I don't need any more.
I performed at a cancer gala on Friday.
I saw that.
Was fun. It was a good time.
How'd they go?
Really, really well. They actually asked me to perform at another benefit for them coming up at the Watermark. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, so you were there with Elise and who else was there?
Just me and Elise.
Just you and Elise?
Yeah. So they asked me to do it, and they asked me to fill, the time limit they wanted. I'm like, I could do that amount of time. I can't do that amount of time clean. So I was like, let me bring somebody with me. We got a little out there, but it was for the most part clean. It was like TV clean. We'll say that.
TV 14.
Yeah, it's maybe even less, but it was good. It went really well. It was a lot of fun.
Speaking of TV, has anybody watched the new Wednesday yet?
Nope.
I started watching it, and I got to tell you, I did.
Did you guys watch the Unknown Number documentary?
Like, no.
Yes.
Wait, which one's that one?
I don't want to say it if you don't. Well, fuck. Where the girl gets
unknown
catfished?
Number or Unknown Caller?
It's called. I think it's called Unknown Number.
Yeah. I lost interest in it, to be honest with you, and so I fast forwarded until I got to who it was, and then I watched from there, and then I was like, "That's fucked up," and then I stopped watching.
See, I got lucky because I don't watch, but it's not really true crime. Well, it's kind of is true crime.
Yeah,
but I don't really do documentaries very much like that. But Becky likes them, and it was last week when we were streaming. So I got back in the house at like 9 o'clock, and Becky was watching it. It was like 30 minutes into it. And so I sat down and was doing something, and I started getting interested. I'm like, what is going on? And so she told me what was going on right before the big reveal happened. I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
word. But people made some pretty great Facebook memes and
So
social media
so
memes
I
about
actually
it.
had it ruined for me. I had already saw something about it going into it, but even knowing what the big reveal was, it still was very shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
Ugh.
So crazy. Did you say
and
you
that
got
poor
bored
girl.
with that, and you got bored with Wednesday also, Janet?
Yeah. Maybe
All
I think
right.
I'm just tired of everything. You know what I'm obsessed with is Alien Earth, which admittedly a friend of mine writes on. So I was like predisposed to like it, but I think it's so good. But I also love the Alien like series.
We've been
Yeah.
slowly watching season 2 of Platonic that I didn't know was out.
I didn't know it was
yeah,
out
it's
either.
out there.
Yep.
You didn't even tell us, Janet.
Because I'm not in it. I told you that.
No, I thought you had
You're
a
not. I thought
role
you were
in
in
it.
one episode. I thought they'd be listed as in one episode.
Yeah,
I
I'm in
haven't
one
got there
episode.
yet.
I'm in one
Oh.
episode, but that's all I could do.
Oh, well, you're in it a
Um,
little.
She said,
ish.
"I'm not
Yeah.
in it." Well, I'm in one episode.
Yeah,
Well,
just
I
one.
mean,
You
if you're
know how many episodes I'm
anybody
in?
who would like
Yeah.
watch it expecting to see, what I did last season,
Mhm.
that's not the case. All right, I'm gonna go TT.
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 What does that mean? Let's try to
I
figure out
know.
what the T stands for. Let's not actually. Never mind.
Yeah. Never mind. Bad idea.
Becky and I had to go to the theater to go see the new Conjuring movie, specifically because she needed to have the $40 popcorn bucket,
Nope.
the Annabelle popcorn bucket. My wife is a
Nope.
child. Yeah,
Speaking
not
of
for
that, did you see my wife's 12-foot skeleton?
Yeah, I did. What'd you do to lose that battle?
Nothing. She's been wanting it for 3 years. So we finally found one. We kind of had to jump through some hoops to get it, but we got it.
Are they hard to get?
Yeah, they sell out every year.
See, Becky's been harassing me about one for 3 years also, and I just keep telling her no.
No, they sell out almost every year. We actually got them before they were released. Like we found out they were at Home Depot. We went to Home Depot and they're like, "Oh, I got it before Labor Day." We're like, "We're not even supposed to sell them until Labor Day."
And
Like,
they,
well,
they
bring
sold
one
you
out.
anyway.
Bring one out.
What are those things? They got one of the giant. How tall is it?
12 foot.
Those giant 12-foot skeletons people like to put in their front yards. That are apparently it's
Love
all the rage on the
Department Q.
TikToks.
Love Department Q. Don't even worry
we
about it, Carissa. Loved it. Man,
listen.
Mandy, I'm right there with you.
Becky and I started watching Department Q, and then the Gilded Age new season came out, and so, like, we got distracted from it, but we were loving it too. We're going to circle back to it.
I mean, that is a classic example of like, it's not like they're breaking the mold of like, cop shows, but
Mhm.
when you've got characters that you kind of care about and you sort of fall in love with and you feel protective of, that's all you need. Like,
Yeah,
they did such a
Very
great job
good.
with that. I got so attached to those characters.
very good. But yeah. So anyway, so Zach and Michelle got one of them giant skeletons in their front yard, and Becky is now she's really on my ass about it.
Yeah,
It is a good get. Yeah.
Big get.
We're stoked about
Literally
it.
and
She's
figuratively.
been on for like 3 years. So
See, my problem
happy we got
is
it for her.
you know what my front lawn looks like, and
Yeah.
my feelings about my front lawn. I'm not
Yeah.
sticking anything for a month on my front lawn. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, we had to put it up already because Michelle's like, it's got to go up now. Like, we have it now. It's got to go up.
What are they? They got to be expensive.
They're not cheap. Well, they're not cheap. We'll say that.
They
They're
probably cost. If you take like the amount you get for it, and you take my purchase of Becky's $40 Annabelle Conjuring popcorn bucket, if you extrapolate that, it's probably about the same.
Yeah.
Us two. Was that
They're $3.99.
$3.99.
Woo!
$3.99.
Oh, well, then where do you put it when you take it down?
I don't know. We haven't got that far yet.
You never take it down. I feel like I see giant skeletons that just live in people's yards now.
They do. People put like Christmas decorations on them, and they'll just keep decorating them for different holidays.
So we've thought about that, but it has like LED eyes that can be programmed to do different things, and we're worried if you leave it out that it's going to get all. We have bad winters here, like really bad winters here.
Yeah,
and they're just going to get trashed. So we're not going to leave it out.
Gonna have to find someplace.
Are you guys ready to start the show?
We'll put it at Bob's house. That's fine. We'll put it in Bob's pole barn.
There you go.
It's perfect.
I need to throw some more stuff in my barn. All right, pre-gamers, we're gonna end this nonsense. Hope you enjoyed. We're happy to see Zach made it out of surgery. Okay,
Yeah.
and we'll
I got
talk to
these
you
tiny ears
pre-gamers.
now.
Shut up, stupid.
I'm on your side.
I just always have to say something. Say something. Say something, Janet.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
I meant to say goodbye.
Sorry.
That was it. I ended it.
Yeah.
I
thought you just wanted me to say something stupid so you could ridicule me.
say idiot at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to send that text over to Erica. Where is it? Oh no. Who did I type that to?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Who'd you send that to?
I don't know. I typed out what the pregame is going to be, so I wouldn't forget. And I went to hit send, and it's not there anymore. Shit! Now I got to do a quick pregame text. Pregame. What did I say? I said liposuction, golden gators.
What? Golden gators?
Oh, yeah, golden gators. What's a third thing? I had a third thing already, and I lost it now. Oh. Ghost towns and more. How about that?
Great.
Ghost towns and more. Oh, that'll be good enough. I had something better than that. I don't remember what it was. And to make sure I did send that to Erica. Elvis. Yeah. Oh, I sang. You missed it, Zach. I sang Elvis.
I don't know that I missed it.
Oh, were you here? Oh,
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, he got you.
Zing.
All right. Are we ready to start this show?
I'm ready. I got my finger on the button. I'm ready to hit it.
All right.
Great.
Let's hit record.
Recording.
I did it. I hit it.
All
Great.
right. Let's count to 3 and clap.
I'm way too close.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Seems solid. Seems solid. Ahoy, friends. Thank you for tuning in to Truth and Justice. You are listening to the Friday follow-up for Season 17, Episode 9. This week, we heard from the state's star witness against Chris Bynum, Larry Brooks. We heard everything from his original statement all the way to his appeals deposition. This episode has raised more questions than it's provided answers for our listeners, and I'm joined by Bob and Janet today, and the three of us are going to attempt to listen, and the three of us are going to attempt to get through all of your questions. It helps if you read what you wrote, dumbass. I'm joined today by Bob and Janet, and the three of us are going to attempt to get through all of your listener questions, get them answered. But before we get to that, do we have any housekeeping?
Just one thing I just want to direct everyone's attention to. Jennifer Hill had posted. So this will be real easy for you to find if you are on the official Truth and Justice podcast fans page. Just go to the featured posts when you hear this and look for a post by Jennifer Hill. And there's a link to an article in the Chicago Tribune. It is about our season 7 case. If you are not on our Facebook group, or you're just not on Facebook or whatever, and you want to read the article, I highly recommend it. This is a pretty big deal. In August 31st's edition of the Chicago Tribune, there's an article written by John Grisham that's titled "Jamie Snow Deserves Clemency." So I just want to let everybody know that's there and read it and see if there's ways that you can throw support. If there's a time to strike while the iron's hot to get more voices in front of the governor of Illinois, it's right now. I mean, John Grisham is obviously a big deal as an author and as also in the true crime space and as an advocate. And for him to take the time to, research Jamie's case and write this op-ed and put it out there for people to read. It's way more attention than I could ever provide to the case by John doing that. So check out the article and let's join in the fight, and let's try to get, if we can't get, Jamie's case, if you're familiar with season 7, is a tough case because he was convicted on pretty much no evidence years and years after the murder of Bill Little. And as I've always said, really, really, really weak cases with no evidence, such as like Jesse Eldridge in our season 3 case, are actually more difficult to overturn because, the threshold you have to overturn the conviction in front of an appeals court is you have to disprove the evidence. And so if the evidence was real kind of squishy to begin with, it doesn't matter how weak the evidence was. If the jury bought it, or in Jesse's case, the judge bought it, you have to disprove it. And that can be a really, really difficult burden. But hopefully in Jamie's case, we can get some traction with the governor of Illinois and get Jamie home by that route. So go check that article out if you get a chance one more time. It's in the Chicago Tribune. It's titled "Jamie Snow Deserves Clemency." It was on the August 31st edition. And with that being said, this week's episode was. This is one of those, as you guys know, I read into cases. I screen a lot of the information. Erica does a lot of the research before we get into putting the episodes together, but I try to keep things in real time when I really dig into and analyze bullet pointed details. And just watching the evolution of Larry's statement and us having the rare opportunity to read Larry's own words about what happened was just mind numbing to me. I was furious even when I was just writing it. I'm curious to know, first for you two, what did you guys think of the episode and of the evolution of Larry's stories?
I'm floored. I did not know what to expect going into this. And really, I kind of knew the first two statements. I didn't realize what he had said in his deposition during the appeals.
Yeah.
And that is very shocking. That is extremely shocking to me to hear. Not only is they, my goodness, I cannot talk tonight. Not only are they putting words in his mouth, I mean, they're literally changing what he's saying. The whole idea of like the heroin and the smell of the heroin, like for a 12-year-old to be coming up with that, it's mind blowing to me. And to know that he really didn't come up with that, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
If you haven't read the transcript, I really highly recommend going to our website and reading that transcript. And I mean all of them, but particularly the transcript of his deposition, because I think I used the term on the episode that he was indignant, and that's the best way I could describe it. As he's at the very beginning, it's like you can almost like see him in your mind. The lawyer's like asking him questions, trying to get him on track, and he just keeps coming back to like, what this is. I don't remember saying any. I didn't say that. I would never say that. I didn't. Like, he's just over and over again seeing things that, particularly revolving around AMP and the selling drugs and the heroin, like Zach mentioned. It was just like he just keeps saying, while the attorney is like talking, trying to kind of direct him in other directions to talk, ask more, maybe more relevant to the innocence or guilt of Chris Bynum. And he just keeps coming back to it. Like, this is like, I would never say that. I didn't say that. I would never say that. Like, what is this? Is, and he at one point when he's talking about like the sour milk smells, how he knew it was heroin. He's like, I'm 33 years old. I still could not tell you what heroin smells like. There's no way I would have said that, in the 5th grade.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best at the end of the episode. This idea of, what an incredible violation it was of that poor child who had just suffered an unthinkable tragedy and trauma and was in the middle of all of that. And instead of treating him with respect and actually doing him the service of taking care of him and of the situation and of looking for the truth, they exploited him further, which is really dark. Like, that's just a very dark thing to hear. And it was really hard to listen to. It was hard to hear too about, something that we have come across in other forms, some closer than others to this exact scenario, but where they've been told by the police, well, I'll tell you whose voice you heard because this person confessed. So you can go ahead and just identify this person as Chris Bynum. Like, let me go ahead and make this easy for you. Don't worry about it. You just say it was Chris Bynum because we can tell you, yes, it was him. So it's this snake eating its tail, where then they use him saying it was Chris Bynum to prove their point when there was never a point to begin with. It was just a circular logic thing.
And I'm going to tell you,
and that would feel so horrible to find out.
And I'm going to tell you right now, at the end of this episode, I'll kind of give you a little preface as to what's coming on Sunday. But there is what I consider to be just absolute bombshell coming on Sunday about that.
Oh.
That it's an interview coming Sunday, but it was in the interview I found some information out about that situation that is just you think you're mad now, wait till Sunday.
Oh boy.
So
Yeah.
I do have one thing that I picked up, and I don't know if there's a listener question. I can't see the listener questions. I have no idea. Um, and I don't know how much thought has been put into this, but in Larry Brooks' statements, he talks multiple times about, knowing that it's Chris Bynum, knowing that it's Chris Bynum because he says, put another shell in it, shoot her in her head, that whole statement. But in every one of those statements, there's never more shots.
That's
The
interesting.
shots,
I didn't catch that.
the shots come, he talks about hearing the shots, waking up, whatever it is. Then the statement of put another shell in it, shoot her in the head. I know what I'm doing, and then they leave.
Yeah, that's a good point because it doesn't track.
Right.
That's really
So
interesting. Yeah, there's a comment about that there's a comment about that comment, but it's not necessarily circling the same thing that you pointed out just then. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me because you feel like if he's recalling really what happened, and there are, why are they reloading and tell him to shoot in the head, and then they don't do it? I mean, there's this conversation. I know what I'm doing. Shoot her in the head, but there's no more shots. It seems, it just seems very strange to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to reread the trial testimony version because there's two places where we know that we're hearing what Larry actually said. One being at trial because that's a legit transcript, and then one being in the deposition because that's a legit transcript. So I'm curious if I go through like point by point because as you're saying that, I think you're right. I don't remember him ever saying after the reload that there was more shots fired.
Right. At least in this episode, it was never said. Now, I haven't seen them all, but in this episode, the way it was read, there's no more shots fired after that.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
I'm remembering that the same way, Zach. That's really
Yeah,
strange.
they turn the lights off and leave, according to Larry.
Really strange.
So I don't know if it means anything. It's just a thing that I noticed.
Well, I think it
seems out of order to me.
Yeah, I think it certainly adds to the idea that the statement wasn't true. The tricky part is figuring out what parts are real, right? Because obviously he was there. He did witness something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he's one being like he straight up said in his deposition, I was just doing what I was told. That those were his words.
Right.
Like he was being told by the police what to say, being told by the police prosecutor or somebody at trial to where Chris Bynum was and to point out Chris Bynum at the trial. But then you also have how much has his memory been manipulated over the years to where like that he believes it's so hard to tell when you're reading through the transcript, like in the deposition, like now he's like, I don't remember saying this, or there are parts of the event that he remembers, but it's like now you almost have to question, like, but does he even remember that?
Right.
Or is that just he's been told that so many times that he believes it? That's when you go all the way back to the original. What did he tell the officers that got there right afterwards? And it was that he heard two voices, he heard shots, didn't recognize the voices, and didn't see anything. And kind of what to put a pin on what I'm talking about is from the deposition. If you read it, it seems like he like peeked out through the door and saw something. He talked. I realized when I edited that I missed a line when I was writing because I think I mentioned I might have cut it out because I was missing the prelude to it. Did I? I don't know if I said something in the episode about the guy with the big nose.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. So in one of the, I think it was at trial, he says that he saw Chris Bynum. And then he said he didn't recognize the other guy, but it's in one of the statements. Didn't recognize the other guy, but he had a big nose. Might have been in the police recording that the other guy, he just knows he has a big nose. But then at trial, I think that was the police statement, because then at trial, he never says he saw anything. He only talks about what he heard. And then there's so much, again, that we get into this more on Sunday, but there's so much sleight of hand going on with the prosecutor there, because for those of you who read the transcripts, go read again when he identified Chris in the courtroom. There's these tricky things the prosecutor's doing, like saying, do you see Chris Bynum in this courtroom? Can you identify him? Yeah, he's right there. The impression the jury walks away with is he just identified the killer. But go back and look at the question.
Hmm.
The question wasn't, do you see the person who killed your family?
Mm-hmm.
The question was, do you see Chris Bynum?
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a distinct difference there.
After making him say the words Chris Bynum, Chris Bynum, Chris Bynum, Chris
Over
Bynum
and
over and
over
over
and
again.
over again. Right.
Yeah, I'm just noticing in the chat that people are, a lot of righteous indignation, as there should be, about there not being. I mean, people are like, just certainly people have asked, was there no adults in the room, no person who's there to sort of advocate for him when those questions are happening, like when he is still just 12 and 13, or
So he was accompanied by his great uncle, who, if you look at the documents, you'll see that Larry and his uncle signed the bottom of each page. But that's all we really know about it. So I don't even know if his uncle was sitting there in the room with him. As I said, there's plenty. If you read through that, there are lots and lots of clues that tell you right away these are not Larry's words. It was actually reading Larry's statement way back at the beginning when I started asking, like, where's the record? I want to hear the recording. This does
right,
not seem right.
right,
Because you've told me that everyone knows, like, one of the first things, everyone knows Anthony is Amp. Everybody calls him Amp. Why is this 12-year-old, in his own words, when they say what happened, saying Anthony Jeffers, full name? And then I also know everyone's telling me that, and we learned at trial from Larry himself, that Larry knew his Aunt Angela as Renee. Remember, way at the back at the
yeah,
beginning, I said I'm just going to call her Angela because there's two people that went by Renee. Sheila
hmm,
also went by Renee. So just to not confuse it, but he always called her Renee. And then in there, he says his Aunt Angela Wallace. And it's like, so right away, there's these clues, like, these are not his words. This is not a transcript, even though it's presented as a transcript. I want to
right.
hear the audio. And that's when I found out there was no audio.
Yeah, that's definitely a question that Sarah and Charla both had. Were just looking for that source material, hoping that that would provide some sort of backup or further information on those big question marks. And it's extremely frustrating to know that they're not there.
It
Um,
doesn't exist.
the Charla also wanted to know, was that uncle deposed later? Like, was there? I don't know if that person was still alive,
No,
or
I don't know. I started doing some searching and haven't found him. So, I mean, we're talking 25 years ago. It was this great uncle. I don't know how old he was at the time. So I don't know if he is. I would imagine if he was alive, that the defense would have subpoenaed him and deposed him as well, and they did not. So I don't know. I'm going to try to find. I'll find that answer, but I don't think that he is with us anymore.
got it. Got it. Uh, let's go back to the shell question. I just want to echo kind of what Adiana said, and I hope I said that right, but I may not have. Adiana, not sure, but your name is beautiful. She says this may not matter, but until this episode it's assumed that the reloading comment actually was about reloading. In this episode, it was quoted as "put another shell in." What if that was an instruction to fire again versus putting more bullets in the gun? Maybe a distinction without a difference, but the phrasing caught my attention. So that's the thing that sort of jumped out this time around to Adiana.
That's a good catch. It's interesting. I mean, right now is the first time I've heard that, so I got to process it. But yeah, put another shell in. It's like put another shell in her. And
Which,
again,
if there's no more shooting, that's also very strange and interesting, kind of like
yeah.
what's
Personally,
happening there.
if you just want my personal hypothesis based on the crime scene and based on the fact that we know for a fact that they put words in Larry's mouth in that transcript, and fed information to him, I think there's a good possibility that the cops were looking at all those shots and going, man, there had to be a reload in here, so let's add that. It seemed like they were trying to add details to make it seem like it fit the crime scene, is what it seems to me.
Which,
So my point is, I don't think, I shouldn't say I don't think, I don't know that Larry actually heard someone say put another shell in or reload.
right, right. Uh, Yeah, and then going back to the whole sour milk thing, like Julie is wondering, yeah, what is that reference? Does heroin really smell like that? Why would Larry know that unless someone had told him? Going back to, what things did they tell him to say versus what were his real statements? And then Tony says, if there's no evidence connecting AMP to heroin, do you have any speculation as to why police would insert this detail into Larry's statement? Who does it help? Who, cui bono? Why is that in there?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm baffled by that one too. By the way, while we were sitting here, I just looked up, does heroin smell like sour milk? And the answer I got is no. It's most commonly described as smelling like vinegar, not sour milk, the acidic vinegar like odor, blah blah blah.
Well, so I actually pulled it up as well, probably from a different site, because it says common smells associated with heroin: vinegar, burnt sugar, rubber tar, or sour milk.
Oh,
Hmm.
so it is something there. So Google's AI answer is different than that, because that was Gemini
Uh-oh.
popped up that answer for me when I Googled it. So yeah, so apparently it could be known as or smell like sour milk. Yeah, I don't know, unless, like, I think that, you got to remember how quick this is into this crime scene, and you got to, if I'm right, and this was the police just genuinely, this is the way I feel. I feel like they just didn't give a shit about these victims. And I'm just taking in context what we know so far. We know they did no work on victimology at all. We know from Tasha how her and her family were treated, Liz's family. And there was no care given to them. And they made comments like, well, she was, what kind of person she was or whatever. So if the way I see it is they just didn't care, their motivation was simply to close this case, and they had, I mean, what a gift on a golden platter. They have an impressionable 12-year-old boy that they can one, manipulate, two, lie about what he said. And I think there were probably assumptions made, just like the reloading. When we did our analysis and all this, we 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 don't know if there were, Zach and I both, I think, are in agreement that these were revolvers. The toolmark analyst also believed that they were revolvers, that based on the amount of time it took and the order of the shots, it seems like very unlikely there was a reload, much more likely that there was two guns. But I think in those early hours are like, okay, so if we're going to use, this is the way I see it going down. And I keep qualifying this, but I just want to make sure I'm not telling you this is what happened, but this is kind of what I'm picturing right now. Is they go look at the crime scene, they get Larry in there, they want to close the case. They've already figured out who they're gonna pin it on. So we need him to give us a statement that can close this case right now and end the work for us and give us a clearance. And so how do we do that? We need some details in his statement that match the evidence. So if they assumed that AMP was a drug dealer or was involved with heroin or whatever, maybe the heroin was running rampant, maybe it was a big problem at that time, and so they assumed heroin was an issue. The reloading, I think they looked at the crime scene, had a cursory idea of what happened, and you'll see that when we get into Chris's statements too, which is coming up next week. Where they thought they knew what happened, and so they manipulated that information into these statements to try to make them seem real. So I mean, it's a long non-answer as to why they would add heroin. The short answer is I have no fucking idea. But that's what I think is going on, is they made some assumptions and they worked those assumptions into that statement to make it seem more valid, if that makes sense.
Also, to piggyback on what you just said about the idea that we think it's a revolver, I would say clearly the state thinks it's a revolver as well, based on that statement of put another shell in. If it's a
Yeah,
semi-automatic, they're not having to do that. So if it's Larry's words, it's a revolver. If it's not Larry's words and it's the state inserting those words, they still believe it's a revolver. So I mean,
right.
I have a firm feeling that it has to be a revolver at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think I think I talked a little bit about it in the episode with the toolmark analyst, but he straight up said on the stand there was some kind of, I didn't understand what he was saying, but there was some kind of markings or something on the shells or lubrication on the shells, something along the lines where he said based on this he believes that it was a revolver.
Yeah, the idea of the sort of implanting, I I guess I'm not totally sure, and this is something that Kim was wondering about too, where Larry, during this deposition, like, where does he fall in terms of his belief about whether or not Chris Bynum was responsible? Like, do we know that, or
I
do we
did
not
I did
know
see
that?
I did see a question when somebody asked if Larry is helping with Chris's defense, and the answer is no, he's not. So this wasn't like I'm here advocating for Chris. He did not want to be there. He was subpoenaed to be there, and he agreed. He did it. He did the deposition. He went under oath and did it. But no, he's not somebody who's advocating for Chris. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't know. My understanding is that he still believes Chris is guilty. I don't know that to be true, but I know that he's not been like outspoken about, Chris Bynum is innocent, nothing like that.
Okay. Well, that kind of goes with what I was thinking, which is just how incredibly, I mean, we already know all of this, but just on a fundamental level, we know that it's inherently morally wrong for a police officer to just lie to someone that they're not trying to get them to confess. I mean, we have obviously big questions and problems with police lying to suspects as well, but like I'm sure we can all agree there is no real moral argument for just lying to a victim, to a witness, to
Yeah.
anyone who you're just supposed to be getting the truth from. That in and of itself is inherently wrong. But then when you think about the effect that you essentially implanting those memories into a person to where it's not just right now, you're changing their moral certainty about a situation, you're affecting them for the rest of their lives, you're affecting the potential for the truth to be found for the rest of the person who is wrongfully incarcerated's life. That's something that Bone Valley, I know we're all a fan of the
Yeah.
Bone Valley podcast, and now that the initial subject of that show is out, he's trying to get out his roommate. So Leo's trying to get out his roommate in his cellmate, who is also innocent, Kevin. And so they've just released a sort of special series on his case, and something very similar happens where the police essentially tell the witnesses who it was, and the witnesses have to like work really hard to change their memories to fit what the police say happened, but it
Yeah.
works. It seems that in the long run, that people walk away being very sure that the person that they were told is responsible. And it's just very insidious and very bad.
Yeah, and it's something we say all the time, and people don't want that. People have a hard time wrapping their brain around it when we say memories are malleable, and they really are. Everyone listening to this right now has some memory of something that they are absolutely sure of that never happened. Like I mean, there's a whole like phenomenon about something that's kind of super interesting called the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
That gets into some of that stuff. Which by the way, if you haven't read about it, don't. It'll ruin your day. But yeah, I mean, your memories can be influenced. It's Jim Clemente has done a great job of explaining it far better than I ever could. But it's like people think that memories just come from this one spot in your brain, and that's not the case. They come, they're built from many different areas and parts of your brain. Everything from your senses. That's why we do cognitive interviews where we have people. When I was, I remember when I did a cognitive interview with David Jacoby in the West Memphis 3 case, and it was trying to like get a picture of where you have them, close their eyes, deep breaths, try to like block out everything in their environment, and try to remember things like what did it smell like, what did it, what color was the sky, things like you're trying to draw on other senses that also affect your memory. And so then when you're given other information, and also, you've heard the term people believe their own lies. That's a real thing. Like you can say something enough times when you start out knowing it's a lie and get to a point where you literally you believe it. Like that is not just an expression. It's something that actually happens. And that's why, I keep saying, a lot of these questions about Larry, well, what about this? What about this? It's hard not to just say, you got to just throw everything out, because we don't know at this point how much of it was true. We know some of it was not true, but some of the things that maybe he even still does remember now aren't even accurate memories. So the best I can do is go back to what did he say first? And that's why we started that episode with those 2 initial reports.
Which we still don't know 100% if that's what he said, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
They're consistent. I'll give it that. Both Dame and Moxley both say that what he said was he heard a couple voices, heard shots, didn't see anything, didn't recognize the voices. That's
Hmm.
the end of it.
Yeah.
Those two things are consistent.
Hmm. I'm just combing through here to see if there's anything. Uh, do we know how long Larry's mom and Amp had been together, and also how long Amp had lived there?
I don't actually know that.
That was
And
a
I'm assuming
question from
there.
Sarah.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that there's one of those things that popped up in my mind when I was researching and writing, and I forgot to go back and circle and find out. But I will find out that answer. I'm sure somebody connected to the case knows and I'm sure it's because he said he's been dealing drugs for 7 years. Because my first thought was, so he remembers that back from when he was 5 years old, and how long is Amp? Because Amp didn't. So by the way, Amp didn't live there. Amp had his
Well,
own house.
okay, because that's what Sarah pointed out. How long did Amp live there, and how does that line up with Amp selling drugs out of the house for 7 years?
Yeah, I don't know. So I need to find out how long they were together. But that was one thing that I found. I mean, it seems like he spent a lot of time there and probably stayed there a lot. But yeah, Amp did have a different house other than that.
Hmm. Yeah, that was definitely something that people caught onto was, wait a minute, there are just so many bits and pieces that, again, you want them to lead you in the direction of being able to verify something, but instead everything just sort of unravels and you
Yeah,
realize that there's just, it's like digging your hand into sand and trying to hold on to it. You sort of lift your hand out and you're like, oh, I guess I don't have much of anything to kind of
yeah,
tie to truth, to kind of identify as truth.
yeah. So what kind of my takeaway from everything with Larry is there's nothing we're gonna get from Larry at any point, and no one ever could have gotten from Larry from any point that was going to solve this case. Right? So like he didn't see anything. He just heard some voices, didn't recognize the voices. Supposedly probably heard a conversation with Amp talking to Willie, but again, maybe that seems to be confirmed by Willie, but we talked about there's issues with Willie's statements too, but I'm thinking it seems like there probably was a conversation there that happened, and maybe the name Chris, as we talked about, I think they're likely, if that's true, there likely is a Chris involved, but that doesn't mean it's our Chris that's involved, right? Or Chris Bynum that's involved. Um, but yeah, so it's like there's nothing he's going to give you that's like, oh, that's going to help tell us who this was. But, so then you try to then look at from the other way. It's like, well, is there anything that he said that points towards Chris Bynum? And there's not, right? So that's kind of critical to that part of our first priority is to find justice for these victims and figure out who did this. Close second priority is if Chris Bynum's innocent, is to get him out of prison. So how does it affect that? Well, I mean, it shows us that he was a key part of the trial that put Chris in prison, and he doesn't actually have any evidence that points to Chris Bynum. And in fact, he says he was straight up told to identify Chris when he actually can't.
Yeah. Charlotte also wanted to know, when we were talking earlier about looking for those source documents, if we know that is the 911 call or transcript available out there somewhere?
I haven't been able to get it. I think that there's been FOIA's filed for that, and nobody supposedly. Well, you'll hear about it on Sunday. I talk about that very thing on Sunday, so we'll leave that for later. But no, we don't have the 911 call. I tried to get it.
Okay. Um, And then the only other thing I have from Facebook, and maybe we can take a look at the chat, see if there's something that we missed in there. Nicole says, not a question, but it's a little more lighthearted, but a PSA that you can have a gap in your teeth and also have great teeth. And I went back and listened to what you said at the end of the episode to see if I thought
There's a
that
comma.
that you were saying, yeah, that you were saying that a gap tooth smile, for example, is not having great teeth. But that's not what you said. That's not what you
No.
meant, and that's not really what you said. But you want to just clarify that.
Yeah, just to clarify for Nicole. Yeah, what I said was he's smiling, he has beautiful teeth, comma, and there's no gap in his teeth.
Yeah.
So I agree. You can have a beautiful smile with a gap in your teeth. That's not what I wasn't saying that a gap in your teeth makes you not have a beautiful smile. And I do want to address too. There's a few people wrote in a lot of different ways, a lot of different confusions. The answer is I don't know, and I don't think it's particularly relevant. But a lot of people were curious because I was too when I started reading through that Larry was 12 years. As a matter of fact, when I wrote my script, I wrote, that Larry was in the 7th grade. I wrote 7th grader because I'm like, he's 12 years old, usually in about 7th grade. And as I went through and Larry was talking in his deposition, it's like, no, he was in the 5th grade. And so a lot of people were wondering, like, that's curious. Why, as a 12-year-old in the 5th grade? The answer is, I don't know. There's a lot of ways. I mean, you got to remember, this is, late 90s, early 2000s. That's back when if they felt somebody needed to redo a year, they could hold somebody back. There was also a thing called Young Fives that sometimes people went to. They didn't start kindergarten until they were 6 years old. Depending when their birthday is, there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think what people were getting at is there seemed some indication that he was, that he had some sort of deficit, and I don't think that's the case at all. Nothing that I've seen based on him speaking his trial testimony, his deposition, anything I've heard. I don't know why he was in 5th grade and 12 years old, but also it's not relevant from anything that I've saw. So I just wanted to address that because I know a lot of people were asking about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I made the executive decision. I actually had that as my very first thing I was going to bring up. And then as I was staring at it, I was like, I just kind of didn't. I just thought I felt kind of embarrassed. Because I just don't want that to fan the flames of people, speculating about his intelligence level and stuff. Just because I didn't feel like it mattered. But to your point, I understand better now why you would say that there would be that people are just looking to better understand who the person was who might have been, influenced to say certain things and all of that. And it was coming from a good place. So I appreciate you addressing that. But
yeah.
but
And just
yeah,
put that in context too. Like, I graduated in 1997 from high school, and there was a 20-year-old in my class. Perfectly, went to college afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
There's
it's
all
not
kinds of
indicative
reasons
of
why.
anything.
Yeah. But that's all I have.
So I do have one last thing we can kind of touch on. You can decide if you want to touch on it or not. In the episode, early in the episode, you bring up immediately, we have a confession. How quickly did this confession come based on these different testimonies from Larry? I know that. Go ahead.
I'm actually, Zach, you just gave the absolute, could not be better, best segue we could possibly have into this Sunday. Dr. Nikki Jackson is coming on the show. I've already recorded the interview with her. So where we're at is, I feel like we've gotten far. I still want to go back there and try to do it, especially the ball field. Really do like a thorough crime scene reconstruction as we're gathering more information. I mentioned listener Colin, who did a bunch of work really helping piece things together. So I still want to do that. There's obviously other things we want to do with the crime scene, but I think we're to the point now where everybody's wondering, and we need to know, how the hell did Chris Bynum get connected to this case?
Yes.
And so I was going to just go into his statements, but I said, before I do an episode where we're going through and breaking down his statements, we need to know how we got from the crimes happening all the way to him coming in for questioning. And the best person that I could think of to break that down for us is Dr. Jackson. Her and Timmy have been working on this case for a long time. They've investigated it thoroughly. So I invited Nikki to come on and share what kind of drew her to the case, first of all, and then also bridging the gap between the night of the murders to Larry's, bridging the gap from the night of the murders to Chris's statement. And Zach, that question you just asked will get answered on Sunday. Talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Zach, stop your audio. Perfect segue, Zach. You nailed it. Unbeknownst to you.
Unbeknownst to me.
Yeah, I literally was
Great
like
job.
teasing that exact question.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, Zach saves the day. It's those ears, he's more powerful without the ears. You'd think it's like Samson, he cut his hair.
No, it's like getting.
Do you
your
know
teeth
what has
cleaned.
No. The lugs
me
were
up
bringing him down.
so
actually.
bad?
They were weighing him down.
I'll tell you what's messed me up so bad. These headphones don't have like a transparency mode, so I can't hear myself.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that messes you up.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like I fumbled so bad, because I can't.
Yeah, it's like being underwater or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you guys that are still in the chat before we hang this thing up, that's weird. So with my students right now, we're just in the phase where I'm putting them in the studio to record, and everybody gets freaked out when they can hear their own voice in their ears.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of you have never done it, would freak you out. But if you work in the profession like we all do, and you're used to it when you're recording on a microphone and you don't have it, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
I've gone in to do like radio
it's
interviews,
bad.
Yeah.
like at radio stations, and they don't give me headphones.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't hear what I sound like. I can't do this. Like I
Yeah.
brought
Yeah.
my own headphones the next time I went back to the Jason Lee and Clock show because I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I need headphones, dude. I can't do this without
Yeah.
headphones.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's funny.
All right, guys, we're gonna end the stream. Thanks everybody for joining us,
Christina.
and for all you that hit the like. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you all next week as well.